हरे कृष्णा। मैं नवनीत व्यासा एस्ट्रो चैनल में आप लोगों का फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। और आज हम लेकर आए हैं केतु। राइट, दिस इज वन टॉपिक, दिस इज वन पर्टिकुलर topic which is very close to our heart, and you know make sure that you people watch this video till the end, and you people will learn a lot about Ketu. So I have my Rudra Vedic Academy team here with us, and we have Yogendra ji from US, we've got Raju ji from Mauritius, we've got Nandita ji from US, we've got Dr. Shruti from Bangalore, we got Dr. Pooja, and we got Siddharth ji. So I'm so happy that मेरे टीम के सारे जो धनुंधर है वो एक साथ आज हमारे साथ हैं। तो ladies and gentlemen, you welcome on this great Manthan of Ketu. और हम टाइम ज्यादा नहीं लेंगे and we'll start discussing about Ketu you know on this video. So what will happen is the flow of the video will be that I'll give you a small introduction, my research with the blessings of my guru, Pandit Sanjay Rajji, and the Nakshatra guru, Dr. Arjun Payaji, their blessings, and my own research. And I'll be telling you about different aspects of Ketu. On the same time, my team, Yogi ji, Raju ji, Nandita ji, Dr. Shruti, Dr. Pooja, Siddharth ji, these people will tell their own research and conjunctions and various aspects that they have discovered for the Ketu. Okay, so this is what we are going to do today. And I always start with my favorite thing, which is whiteboard. So I will start with the whiteboard. I'll take 15-20 minutes, of this particular video, and then I'll hand it over to my team members, right? So ladies and gentlemen, first thing first, what is Ketu? Okay, now a lot of people have always been saying that Ketu is the karaka of moksha. Okay, now when we say moksha, one has to understand that moksha is a simple thing to achieve. It's not very difficult thing to achieve, but the only thing which is required in the moksha is one word, which is called to be free. Right? Now, when you are free from everything and anything, that is when you get moksha. Right? That is one word which is the key in a life, when you have this body, mind, and soul together. Right? So what is free? And for getting free from everything which is around the world, the biggest thing that you require is you got to be super brave. Okay, you got to be super brave. And Ketu is a planet which makes you super brave. Ketu is a planet which gives you that bravery to leave everything. Right? Now, what happens is, see, I'll explain you in a very, very Jyotisha way, because what happens, a lot of people have, explained about Ketu in a very, very theoretical and mystical way, but then Ketu can also be defined in very, very astrological way. It's the way we look at a chart. You see, what happens is that wherever you have Ketu, remember this, wherever you have Ketu, you have scope of freedom in that particular house. You have scope of bravery in that particular house. You have scope of leaving things in that particular house. For an example, I ask you a question. Suppose, you want to be a sannyasi. Okay. If you want to be a sannyasi, there are certain requirements to be a sannyasi. If you want to be a bodybuilder, right? Because every single thing where you do lot of sacrifice, right? That is the energy of Ketu. For an example, did you ever see chart of someone who's a great bodybuilder, right? You will find association of Ketu with the Lagna. Always. You'll always find, right? Either the Ketu will be aspecting from the Rashi Drishti. Suppose it is a, it is a Mesha Lagna and Ketu will be here in the Scorpio. So it will have a Rashi Drishti on the Lagna, right? Or if Ketu is here and Rahu is here, you're always thinking about yourself. Ketu will have a Graha Drishti, okay, on the Lagna. So what happens with such positions is that I've seen people who are so brave about themselves. People who are so brave. If you have Ketu in the first house, it is going to give moksha from you, your body. You see that bodybuilders were always eating boiled food, who are always sacrificing the good, tastier food, and they're always working hard in their life all the time. That's what Ketu does in the Lagna. That's what Ketu does in the first house. So what is Ketu doing? Ketu is getting brave in the Lagna. Ketu is giving you freedom in the Lagna. If you have Ketu in the second house, what will happen? Ketu will give you freedom from your taste buds. Ketu will give you freedom from wealth, money, right? I mean, you don't bother. You don't care. If you have Rahu here, you're always worrying about equitizing money. You're always so possessive about money. Here is something that Ketu gets you off from any sort of possessiveness. That's what Ketu is, right? Ketu in the third house makes you very brave in communication. Ketu in the fourth house takes you away from it gives you freedom from home, from motherland. You can be away. Ketu in the fifth house gives you freedom from children, romance, love. Ketu in the sixth house will give you freedom from daily routine. You don't want to work, you want to go away. Ketu in the seventh house gives you freedom from wife, from partnerships. You don't want to marry, you're not mentally prepared for it. You need freedom in the married life. Ketu in the eighth house, give you courage to transform yourself. You are so brave about your own transformation. Ketu in the ninth house makes you super spiritual. Ketu in the ninth house can make you an avid Shiva devotee. Avid Shiva devotee. Ketu in the 10th house makes you brave to take bold decisions against your career. You are an engineer and now you want to be a sage. You want to be a scientist. That's what Ketu is in the 10th house. And then Ketu in the 11th house makes you so bold against your hopes, wishes, and desires. You give up on desires. Ketu in the 12th house makes you brave to attain moksha. Now, where is this bravery of Ketu coming from? This bravery of Ketu is coming from the exactly opposite element, which is Rahu. Rahu is not brave, but Rahu is clever. Rahu is the biggest badhaka. How? Because Rahu rules the 11th house in the Kalpurush Kundli, and it becomes badhaka. Badhaka in what? Badhaka in moksha. Badhaka in Ketu. This is where the problem is. You are taking birth on this planet again and again because of the desires that are left with Rahu. You should not take birth if you have Ketu in your mind, because Ketu is a destroyer. It is destroying your relationship. It is destroying you, your body, everything. He is a destroyer. And when you take sannyasa, what do? Is it easy to be a sannyasi? Is it easy to be a Vaishnav? You know, you go to ISKCON, you see brahmacharis are dressed in a very different color. What it takes to be a brahmachari? Imagine, it takes that you have no money with you. You're not looking for the second house equitization of money. It says that you don't have cars and everything. You don't have a footwear, a good quality footwear. You don't have that requirement of food. You don't have family. You don't have children. You don't have parents. You leave them. That's what Ketu is. That is a kind of transformation Ketu wants. And that is why you have to understand the associations of Ketu. When you understand the associations of Ketu, Ketu is associated with Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Pisces. These are the three, signs where Ketu is associated with. So Pisces is what? Pisces is the Mula Trikona of Ketu. It is Mula Trikona sign. Remember this. And what is Sagittarius? Sagittarius, lot of books will tell you that in Sagittarius, Ketu is exalted. Ketu feels exalted. And this is the own house of Ketu, Scorpio. But I will tell you a secret today. This is my experience that I have learned over the period of time. Rahu and Ketu are never exalted or debilitated. Remember this. Remember this. And the statement I say to you now, you will realize it in your chart. Rahu and Ketu will give you results based on the signs in which they are present. If Rahu and Ketu are present in the fire signs, your focus will be on dharma. If they are on the earth signs, 2, 6, 10, the focus will be on artha, business. So that is why you say, second Taurus Rahu, you are focused towards money. It is not because it is exalted. It is because of the sign in which Rahu is present, which is an artha sign. Oh, this is the catch. So whenever you want to analyze Rahu and Ketu in a Kundli, don't feel excited or disappointed when you say Ketu is debilitated, Rahu is debilitated. No, it is giving you the results of the sign in which Rahu and Ketu is present. Don't get fearful that, my Rahu is in Sagittarius. And it is in a Mesh Lagna and it is in Maran Karan Sthana. Oh, come on. Rahu will make you super brave about your dharma. You will be calculative about religion, guru and dharma, which is not a good idea. That is why it is a Maran Karan Sthana. But if you have Ketu there, Ketu will feel exalted there. Ketu will feel fantastic there. Now, I'll tell you something. My Guruji had explained a concept of having life on the Mother Earth at human level and explained about life in heaven. Now remember this. This is something where I have brought in my research and development also. You see, he explained about Sunday, Monday. Now this is something, a new research I will tell you, and Tuesday. And then there is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For the first time, I'm revealing this, that every planet has a source and every planet has a carrier, which I've told you. Like the source of Mangal is Surya, the source of Shukra is Chandra, right? The source of what do you call it? See, Surya, we've got Mangala, then we have Venus and Moon, which is associated. Okay, then we've got Jupiter, okay, which is Antariksha, and then we have Mercury, which is the earth element. The source of Rahu, or in fact Saturn, has source as Rahu. It is opposite. Okay, it's not that Saturn is sourcing Rahu, it is the Rahu which is sourcing Saturn. I'll tell you one day how it is. It is exactly the opposite. But you know what? Who is sourcing Mercury? Mercury is sourced by Ketu. Remember this. This is a catch. This is something very important. The source of Mercury is Ketu. I'll tell you how. You see, your Mercury in your Kundli is sitting at the points where there is an opportunity to break everything. For an example, Mercury is sitting in Ashalesha, associated. Mercury is sitting with Jyeshtha, which is the last nakshatra in the Scorpio, and Mercury is sitting here in Revati. So like Sunday is Atma Karak. You are born on the earth, on the plane, on Sunday. This is what shastras say. You get your persistence through Monday, and which is Chandra, you know, your nakshatra, Janam nakshatra. So this is Atma, this is Janam nakshatra, and here you die. So Mars is a killer, right? Just like in the Kundli, Sun is exalted here, Moon is exalted here, and Mars is having what? Mars is the natural significator, Karka of the third house. 1, 2, 3. The first 3 houses belong to the Mundale, the earth level. Okay, Sunday you're born, Monday it is your persistence, Tuesday you die. Mercury from here takes you to a journey. So all the signs, both the signs of Mercury belong to Shiva, and it is transformation. So if you get a transformation because of the Mercury, right, what will happen? You are born on Thursday in the Swargaloka, Friday is the pleasure in the Swargaloka, and Saturday is where you want complete isolation in the moksha, in the Swargaloka. Okay, so this is how the week is going. But you know what? The transition is happening through Mercury, Ashalesha, Jyeshtha, you know, and Revati, which is the last nakshatra of the 4, 8, and 12, which is called the moksha trine. So this is where here the moksha is, Mercury, right? But who is sourcing Mercury? The Mercury is sourced by a flag. You know what is this? This 4, 8, 12 is a flag, and flag is represented by Ketu. 4, 8, and 12. And what happens here? What happens here? Here, Ketu says, leave everything and transform. Leave everything and transform. So that was one of the major reasons that Ketu took his lordship, his own house as Scorpio. Scorpio is where Ketu says that if you transform, I will put you in the path of bhakti. I will put you in the path of body-mind relationship where you can exalt yourself. Right? But for that, I need transformation. I need that you leave many things. I need that you reach a level where nothing matters to you. You become super brave about everything. Because you can only be brave when you are headless. When you are headless, completely headless. So here, Ketu wants you people to come, and Ketu says, look, what is Scorpio? Scorpio is a Rashi which makes you think about yourself. You know, Scorpio is a Rashi which makes you go within yourself, inside. You know, think about it all the time, that why you are here, what made you come here. If you have Chandra in Scorpio, you are thinking this all the time. Be it Vishakha, be it Jyeshtha, or be it Anuradha. Whatever nakshatra you have, your Chandra is. You are self-destructive. You are self-destructive of your own thoughts. Today, you will plan something very big. Tomorrow, you will destroy that thing and you plan something else because your inner voice is something else and you're always listening to your inner voice. That's the problem with Scorpio. That's what Ketu is all about. These are the initial steps to have moksha. You know, what is Sha? Sha is destruction. The word moksha, I told you, when I was teaching in Jyotish Bhushan, the Sha, destruction, Ksha. Ksha. Ksha is destruction, moksha. So what you do here, and which is the Shakti that can help you to destroy, your ego, your moha towards your family, your money, your car, your food, your clothes, your body, right? Which is that Shakti that can break everything. You see, what is the hierarchy? It is a very, very interesting hierarchy that you have to attain moksha. Okay, so the hierarchy that starts, a lot of people say that, okay, tell us the process of moksha. I'm going to tell you the process of moksha through Ketu. Okay, the first thing you have to identify to attain moksha is to identify your Devi, which is associated with your life. Yogi ji always speak about Mahavidya. Mahavidya is what? Mahavidya is identifying the source, the Devi, that will take you to a level of Siddhi. Right? Mahavidya, the first Devi in Mahavidya is always Ma Kali. Always looking at Ma Kali. Right? So Ma Kali is Scorpio, is your 8th house. Devi Kali. Right? Which will lead you, to destroy your moha, kam, krodh, lobh. She's gonna destroy that. What happens in Navratras? Tell me. How much are you focused on the food or on the society? You are fasting and you are busy praying. If you are a real sadhak of Devi, you know the importance of Navratras. You want to disconnect. People don't even sleep on their beds. They go away from the wife, they go away from children, and they are meditating and doing all the japas. So if you really want to know Ketu, you really want to know bravery. And out of all the Durga Rupas, the bravery is coming from Ma Kali. Right? Now, once you become the sadhak of Ma Kali will motivate you towards going to Shiva. Then you become an avid devotee of Shiva, and Shiva will promote you to Vishnu. Okay, so this is Ma Kali is here. Shiva, now you're getting the promotion. Ketu is getting exalted. You got Shiva here, and then Shiva is sending you to Vishnu. You get Vishnu here. Ma Kali, Shiva, and Vishnu. But there's a catch to this. The catch to this is that Shiva and Vishnu are not like Brahma. They don't have that over self-confidence and aham. They don't have it, right? So what Shiva? Shiva is not praying his own name. Shiva is always chanting Ram, 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 Ram. And Vishnu is always chanting Shiva, 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 Shiva. So here, what happens is that here Shiva gives you motivation to do Hari Nam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What happens with this? It is not easy to do this mantra. You have to sacrifice your food. You have to sacrifice onion, garlic, all those McDonald's and Pizza Huts, and everything is gone from your life. You know, you shave your head and you become devotee, Vaishnava. You are a Vishnu devotee. Who made you this? Shiva made you this. And when you reach here, you know, you're about to leave everything and attain moksha. Suddenly Vishnuji says, hey, stop. There is a condition for the moksha, and that condition is Shiva. And I said, see, we did everything from Shiva, and now Shiva has brought us to you, and you are saying there is a condition for Shiva. What are we in this circle? I said, no. You are not in this circle. The condition for Shiva is to meditate. You meditate like Shiva after doing all the bhakti, then I will give you the moksha. That is why the 12th house, where the Ketu feels Mula Trikona, is where you meditate. So Vishnu is basically doing what? Vishnu is motivating you to meditate. Shiva is motivating you to be bhakti, chant. You know, chant Vishnu mantras, chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when you have Lagan Lord in the 9th house, you become mentally very strong. You know, you become mentally very strong. When you have association with the 8th house, you become physically very strong. And if you have the Lagan Lord association with the 12th house, you become strong at the soul level, because meditation is the food for soul. Bhakti is the soul, is the food for your mentality, and Ma Kali is the Shakti which makes you brave here on the body. So body braveness, mind bravery, and soul bravery. Basically, it's Ketu. Ketu is the higher form. Ketu says, I'll take these houses which will lead. These are the steps that will lead you to moksha, no other. That is why Ketu is basically associated with Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Pisces, where it's got own house, exaltation, and Mula Trikona. See, Ketu is the highest spiritual planet. Highest spiritual planet, but not for the Bhuloka. That is where the problem is. You know, highest benefic, and Ketu, people say it is malefic, it's Asura. Fine, but he is one Asura which is taking you away from the materialistic world. So at the Sansar level, my Guruji has explained this many a times. You know what happens at Sansar level? It is what? It is Jupiter at the benefic, highest benefic, and then the Venus, right? But at the sannyas level, it goes little opposite. At the sannyas level, it is the Ketu which is highly benefic, and then the Jupiter. Imagine Ketu is ranked over Jupiter because it is going to give you a frame of mind where you're going to leave everything. You're going to be brave. See, is it not a bravery to leave your money, your luxurious home, your family, your children, and then go to Vrindavan, stay there and give your life to Vrindavan, give your life to Krishna temple, give your life to an ashram and just live there and eat whatever you get and sleep wherever you can sleep. This is Ketu. So wherever Ketu is present in your kundali, in whichever house, you are going to become super brave about it. You are going to become super strong about it. This is how you attain moksha. And this is what my observation is about Ketu. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I think about Ketu. Though I have so many things, there are some certain nakshatras which I'll explain. There are certain vowels, there are certain sounds, there are certain mantras you can begin with, but then I will discuss. We'll have another Ketu part 2 because I know a lot of discussion will be pending, right? Because of the time constraint, and I have to give opportunities to others to speak because I will keep speaking for another 2 hours. And my team members will keep waiting. Guruji, when will our turn come? You are just going on and on and on and on and on, which I don't want to do it. Well, so I will bring Siddharth ji, right, to share his views. He's the one I've invited for, out of all, because he has to rush to the office. So I just called him, right? That is the reality. So, yeah, Siddharth ji, please,
Thank you, sir.
all yours from here.
Thank you, sir. About Ketu that I'll talk about, I'll just focus on 2 elements of Ketu. One is the Mahadasha, how what impacts or how things change when the Mahadasha, Ketu Mahadasha is on, which is for about 7 years, and also Ketu's combination with Mars as a planet. And I'm sure the mythology and the story, Yogiji is the best person to cover on that. So yeah, it is isolation, it is radical thinking, and it's something which really, it's like an inner journey for an individual. The point is, or the concern is that anybody who is going through this particular phase within the society that we live in, that person feels very different because that person is being cornered. But my point is that that is the time where actually you come to know that yes, you are standing out and there is a different way of thinking and you are exploring yourself. Okay. Now, when I talk specifically about the Mahadasha, now Mahadasha lasts, Ketu Mahadasha lasts for about 7 years. Now, it could be in your life anytime. Maybe the time that you're born, you can start it will be a Ketu Mahadasha. Furthermore, in your teens or different phases of your life. And one thing that is distinctly visible is that definitely the isolation part is there, but then that's where you end up having your inner journey and there is an element of spirituality that comes in your life. Okay. Now the repercussions could be different. Like if you're a teenage, then obviously in that growing age, the typical things that other friends will do, you may not want to do that. When you're in a marriage or when you're about to get married, you'll have a different way of thinking. There will not be a desire to get married, so on and so forth. So, but latter part of the life, now if it is in your 60s or when you're retirement, वो जो संन्यास आश्रम जो आता है, तब आपका केतु महादशा होता है, तो it fits in with the societal norms.
Correct.
Okay. But again, the earlier the better, I would say, because then that makes you think in a different dimension, because coming mahadashas, the Ketu mahadasha does have an impact. Now if it's on how you take it as is what is very important. Ketu mahadasha is what I spoke about, but during now when I'm talking about isolation from the society or thinking radically different or being bold, it reminds me of those hatha yogis, the aghoris and all. They are outside the societal norms, but they are the ones who are exploring their life within themselves, right? So this is I just kind of highlighted about Ketu mahadasha. Now I'm talking about Mars and then the combination of both of them. So Mars is something which is aggression, which again Mars is talking about an army journal. It's about ruggedness. It's about I may not say exactly impulsive, but something which is like मैं तो देख लूंगा तुम क्या करोगे. You know, that kind of um, attitude. And also Mars is something which is about the relationship of your body with your blood, your nervous system. Now, when I speak, this is in a nutshell about Mars, basically the attributes of Mars. But when Ketu and Mars in a chart, they come together, they form something what we would call as a Shapit Yog.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's not take this in a negative way, but then it does has an impact with an individual in their life, because ultimately anything that is placed in my chart is what I get it. You know, it's my past life karma.
Yeah.
Okay. One distinct observation I've had: if Ketu and Mars are together in the fifth house or in the ninth house, the desire to have children doesn't exist. Okay. So if the combination is there in the fourth house, again आपका घर है, but then you do not have that kind of a desire to, you know, put things together in the house, you know, like घर को स्वर्ग बनाना, या the intention or the desire to make the house beautiful, that is not there. And similar pattern is seen if it is in seventh house. Again, the desire to have
Marriage.
a marriage is not there. So
No,
these are very,
it is
yeah,
there, but then you don't want to make your marriage beautiful.
beautiful. Exactly, sir. Yeah, that's the point. So these are few observations that I had when it comes to Mars and Ketu as a combination. So yeah,
Wow. I mean, such a beautiful, crisp research, right? And based on the, the charts that we are doing and trying to understand, right? You people are my co-trainers. I must tell you that you people are going to lead Rudra Vedic Academy very soon. I'm so, so proud of you, Siddharthi, right? All right. So I have my best mate coming, Dr. Shruti, right? She is, ये हमारी रुद्रा वैदिक एकेडमी की डॉक्टर हैं, कोई बीमार होता है, शी इज द वन, फटाफट से ये करो, वो करो, right? And I always, consider her, one angel of Rudra Vedic Academy. Always she's there, right? So, Dr. Shruti, what you got for us, for the Ketu?
So, Hare Krishna, sir. I will be speaking about the conjunction of Ketu and Brahaspati.
Wow.
Okay. Taking forward from what you said about Ketu. So, Ketu जहाँ भी आता है, आपने कहा कि कुंडली के जो भी भाव में होता है, it gives you bravery. ये भी कहा जाता है जब हम इस पे पढ़ते हैं कि केतु is the storehouse of the past life. So it's the storehouse of the chart. ये कहा जाता है. And अगर हम देखें कि केतु वो वाली माइथोलॉजी तो योगी जी बताएंगे ही, बट जब हम देखते हैं तो हेड पार्ट इज राहु एंड द बॉडी, द शरीर इज केतु. तो अगर केतु शरीर है और अगर केतु शरीर है तो शरीर बना है माता और पिता. सो जब वो डीएनए आता है, डीएनए का जो डबल हेलिक्स आता है, जो जेनेटिक कोड आता है, वैसे अगर हम देखें तो केतु का कनेक्शन हमारे एंसेस्टर्स से भी हो जाता है, केतु का कनेक्शन हमारे पास्ट लाइफ से भी हो जाता है. तो केतु जहां भी बैठता है वो हमारे पास्ट लाइफ के एसोसिएशंस को लेके आता है. अगर केतु और बृहस्पति का कंजंक्शन या युति बन रही है तो एक तरीका ये है देखने का कि इस व्यक्ति को विद द कंजंक्शन ऑफ जुपिटर एंड केतु, इस व्यक्ति को इस जीवन में अपने गुरु जरूर मिलेंगे. सो आइदर इट कैन हैपन अर्ली इन लाइफ, वेरी अर्ली इन लाइफ, and or it can happen gradually, but this व्यक्ति can, हो सकता है कि difficulties भी आए, but this व्यक्ति can have self realization with the blessings of his guru. That is one way to look at it. The other thing also that we can bring in is अगर केतु और बृहस्पति साथ आते हैं, केतु का एक नेचर जैसे सिद्धार्थ जी कह रहे थे कि आइसोलेशन होता है, वो अलग करवाते हैं, सेपरेट करवाते हैं. ओके, तो ये भी हो सकता है कि पढ़ाई में ब्रेक्स आए या एजुकेशन में थोड़े बहुत ब्रेक्स आए. दिस इज ऑल्सो पॉसिबल। अब एक और तरीके से इसको हम देख सकते हैं कि अगर केतु शरीर है, यानी केतु की अपनी आइडेंटिटी तो कुछ नहीं है, केतु को पता ही नहीं है कि क्या है। सो केतु इज द बॉडी एंड व्हाट डज बृहस्पति रिप्रेजेंट? बृहस्पति रिप्रेजेंट्स नॉलेज, जीव कारक है। जैसे केतु हम कह रहे हैं पास से आ रहा है, बृहस्पति जीव कारक है, आज है वो। एंड अगर हम ऐसे देखें तो बृहस्पति रिप्रेजेंट्स नॉलेज, फेथ, एथिक्स, गुरु, जो गुरु तत्व होता है वो बृहस्पति रिप्रेजेंट करता है। तो अगर शरीर है और उस पे अगर गुरु मतलब सर जैसे गुरु आ जाए तो दैट ऑल्सो बिकम्स अ ब्यूटिफुल ब्लेसिंग, यू नो। एंड इफ दिस अगर ये युति अगर केंद्र या त्रिकोण में हो रही है, अगर ये गुरु इफ द गुरु इज उनकी मीन्स इफ द गुरु इज पावरफुल, then this is called a positive conjunction and इसको कहा जाता है कि ध्वज योग, यानी कि बहुत ये देखा गया है कि काफी सारे स्पिरिचुअल लीडर्स के चार्ट में भी इस तरीके के कॉम्बिनेशन देखे जाते हैं, where there is a positive combination and maybe the Jupiter aspect will dominate this combination. उसी को अगर हम दूसरी तरीके से देखें तो इट कैन ऑल, अगर ये युति अगर वीक घरों में बन रही है या इफ देयर इज वीकनेस, इफ गुरु इज नॉट सो पॉजिटिव इन दैट चार्ट, तो दो तरीके से हो सकता है। या तो ये लोग मतलब बिल्कुल ही बहुत इजीली स्वेड हो जाएंगे, दे विल बी वेरी इजीली स्वेड बिकॉज ऑफ द केतु इन्फ्लुएंस। इनको आप बहुत जल्दी अपने आप अपनी बातों में ला सकते हैं बिकॉज गुरु पॉजिटिव नहीं है, बुद्धि वैसी नहीं है, एंड ये हो सकता है। या अगर ये डिस्ट्रक्टिव भी हो सकता है बिकॉज केतु इज हेडलेस, केतु का अपना कोई मीन्स इट इज हेडलेस, सो इट कैन ऑल्सो, अगर उसको हम बिल्कुल दूसरे एंड ऑफ द स्पेक्ट्रम पे रखें तो ये बहुत ही रिजिडिटी, डॉगमेटिज्म ये भी ला सकता है। तो इस तरीके के लोग दे कैन बी वेरी वेरी अपने रिलीजन को लेके या फेथ को लेके काफी कट्टरवाद में भी ये घिर सकते हैं। तो एक क्लासिक एग्जाम्पल जो होगा वो एडोल्फ हिटलर की अगर हम कुंडली देखें, एडोल्फ हिटलर इज लिब्रा राइजिंग एंड उनकी कुंडली में ये युति बन रही है इन द 3rd हाउस इन द मूल नक्षत्र। एंड मूल नक्षत्र इज अगेन, अगर मूल नक्षत्र की एनर्जी को हम देखें तो मूल नक्षत्र इज yes, it is destruction, it is anyway Jupiter and Ketu, अगर हम मूल नक्षत्र को देखें तो वो अगेन Jupiter and Ketu का ही नक्षत्र है, वही एनर्जीज है। और उसमें अगर वापस ये आ गए तो हमने देखा है कि हाउ एडोल्फ हिटलर was single-handedly responsible for the whole Holocaust, for killing millions of Jews in the name of Aryan supremacy. So that is also one other aspect of Ketu. एक और चीज जो मैं हाईलाइट करना चाहती हूँ कि ऐसे लोग जिनकी ये युति बनती है बिकॉज जुपिटर इन्वॉल्व होता है, ऐसे लोगों का इंट्यूटिव पावर काफी हद तक बढ़ सकता है। दीज पीपल कैन परसेप्शन इनका और हाइटेंड हो सकता है, एक्स्ट्रा सेंसरी परसेप्शन आ सकते हैं, काफी डेजा वू, काफी इंट्यूशन वाली फीलिंग आ सकती है। तो ये लोग ये भी कह सकते हैं कि हाँ हमें इस चीज का आभास हो गया था पहले से, या अपने सपनों में वो काफी चीजें पहले ही देख लेते हैं, हमने ये भी देखा है।
Fantastic.
इसी तरह की कुछ बातें मैं लाई हूँ।
And to add to your research, I think I must compliment you. It's beautiful, deep research that you've done. But the requirement of Jupiter is only one. That requirement is truth. सत्य बोलना. अगर आप सत्य बोलते हैं तो आपकी लाइफ के अंदर मोक्ष 100% है. You're very close to the moksha if you don't lie. And if Jupiter is a Marak, like in Libra rising, right? Jupiter is a Marak Graha. it is conjunct Ketu, you will find such people lying all the time, because Ketu is destroying that Jupiter tattva, when Jupiter is weak and you're lying. But in the Mesha Lagna, in the Kalpurush, you see Ketu is exalted, and in the Mool Trikona, in the signs of Jupiter, Sagittarius and Pisces. And the requirement is to be truthful all the time. Fantastic, Dr. Shruti, your research is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much. Right. All right. So, we have another family member here. Like, what I feel like Dr. Shruti is the angel of my Rudra Vedic Academy. Similarly, there is a backbone, right? There is a backbone of, Rudra Vedic Academy, and that is Nandita ji. Nandita ji, right? You are backbone of RVA. You are also, backbone of my research and development. You are a powerful, and yesterday I was remembering all the women Shakti in my RVA, and see, when I look at Dr. Shruti and then I look at Dr. Pooja, you know what? Dr. Pooja is the princess of our Rudra Vedic Academy. She will always bring huge amount of glamour and that Anuradha thing. Anuradha is young. Anu means small, young, and she's that brightness. She's that star of RVA, will keep bright, keep giving light. But when it comes to stability, when it comes to that boldness, when it comes to that, holding everyone, Nandita ji, you're welcome.
Thank you, Guruji. This is always an honor to do these videos. And today I love the topic of Ketu. I find it very intriguing. I can't even add anything after the way you explained Ketu, but I want to talk about two specific conjunctions, and hopefully this will help people. Please keep in mind that these are broad stroke attributes about these conjunctions, and you'll have to flavor it with wherever these conjunctions are happening in your chart. But, I'll start with what I have, which I have my personal experience in it. So I can talk a lot about that, and have done a bit of research and my own reflection on life. Surya and Ketu. I have this interesting conjunction, and I've read a lot of research about it. And, fiery planets both together. So it's very, very important to look at where these two guys are sitting, right? Where are they placed? What house and what Rashi, right? It will have a lot to do. It also makes a big difference if they're sitting in specific nakshatras, because Surya has an affinity to some of these Ketu nakshatras like Ashwini and Magha. If this is happening in Ashwini, you might find yourself very spiritually inclined. If this is happening in Magha, you have great, huge leadership quality because it's a royal nakshatra, right? So all of those characteristics will carry over and makes a beautiful, successful story at the end. But again, like you said, what is important to you? Is being a sannyasi and spiritual path is important to you? Or do you want to be that corporate leader with tremendous amount of success, right? So understanding the flow of your energy, what is expected in your life, this life is so important. So Surya and Ketu, can create some issues based on what your aim is. It's going to create a self-confidence issue. Okay, Ketu is going to make you doubt yourself. It's going to make you, it's bringing in some past karma that obviously, based on whichever house it is, you haven't done it successfully, or you need to address it. And because it's sitting with your soul, it's going to block your progress of your soul. Your soul is your future karma. right? Ketu is your past karma. The fact that they're both sitting together, there's something you need to address, something that you've done in the past that needs to be readdressed, cleared, dealt with, let go, so you can move on forward in your soul cycle, in your evolution. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem, right? So it is the break of the soul. Sometimes it is the break of your ego, because the sun is your soul. And that comes with your confidence. It's associated with your ego. It's also associated with government. Also, your father. So all of those characteristics that are defined and attributes that we connect to the sun, depending on what house it is, you're going to address those. And me personally, I lost my father. I never really had a father because he was very ill, so at a very young age, right? So yes, it definitely proves that issues with father, right? Whether they're not part of your physical life, or sometimes they're mental issues, you're just not getting along with your father, that creates bigger issues later on in life. That insecurity of, especially for women, this creates a big issue in women's life, because this creates an internal insecurity. So as you get older, this reflects in your other relationships, with any male relationship that you might have with your brothers, with your elders, uncles, husbands, right? So this combination can have a negative effect on it as well. But it is one of the most beautiful, because this also is seen, this combination, in a lot of enlightened spiritual soul people, because your soul, once it breaks that ego and realizes and deals with whatever it is that you had to deal with in the past, it aligns with Ketu, and your soul is then become very, very spiritual. And it's seen that a lot of people who do focus after, and they do find their path, and it will depend if what gets triggered during Ketu Dasha or Sun's Dasha or any other planet that sits in their nakshatra and happens to be in the 8th house or something like that, it will trigger it. But it does allow the person to become highly spiritual at some point in their life, and that gets carried forward for the rest of their life. But the most important thing is to deal with whatever it is that you have to deal with. And it's a clue, wherever they're sitting, wherever this conjunction is, whatever house it is, it's something related to that.
Right. That's
Right.
fantastic. And one thing I observed with Sun and Ketu is that there is delay in everything that you want to do.
Yes.
There's delay, because if you lose your father, if you lose fatherly figures, or you have disputes with your father, right, or you have disputes with your government, right, the only thing that will come to you is the delay in your progress. And that
Yes.
is, yeah.
Yeah. You know why? I really think that it's because it takes a while for us to understand some of the baggage that we've brought from our past life.
Yeah.
Once to recognize that, oh, we need to address this, and then to actually address it. Because this clearly says that if you don't address this, your future progress is blocked. So naturally, you mature, you fall down a couple of times, you learn from that, you learn the hard lessons throughout your life, and then eventually you get it. And then the progress comes later in your life.
Right.
So it definitely works out that way, clearly.
Fantastic. This is
Yeah.
such a you put it in such a beautiful way with your own experience. Nandita ji, I mean, I compliment you for your research. Well done. Right.
Thank you.
And
And
yeah, sure.
talk about, sorry,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
another one.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Shani and Ketu.
Wow. Okay.
Now, this is a really interesting combination also, because it's kind of tough depending on what you want. And in Kali Yuga, it's tough because not everyone wants to be a sannyasi. Not everyone
Right.
wants to be on the spiritual path, right? So this is a tough combination, which will give you immense issues, but it will give you immense strength and maturity, right? Both Shani and Ketu. So Shani, air, Ketu, fire. I mean, just imagine putting those two together, it's a total disaster, right? And it's that disaster, that internal storm, that storm that is in you constantly from the moment you're born. It's a battle of your will. It's a push and pull, because Shani is your current karma. Shani says, work hard, be disciplined. You have responsibilities, you got bills to pay, you're responsible for your family, right? And Ketu is your past karma. Ketu's like, oh, no, we're not doing this. We're leaving. We're gonna go sit in a mountain and we're gonna meditate and let's just go travel the world. We don't need to work. We don't need to be responsible, right? So Kali Yuga doesn't allow us to do that. As much as internally you may want that for your own sanity, because you've got this internal storm happening in you, it's going to stop you. So generally these people become very, very recluse. They're very much introverted because they're constantly confused. They're constantly doubting themselves. It takes them forever to make any kind of decision. They overthink just about everything. Just when they think that they're going to do it, they're going to pull themselves back because Shani says, no, we can't do that. And Ketu's like, come on, let's go. Let's get out of here, right? They can't make a decision. So this constant battle is something that over time does get better, because not that it gets any less, but I think the person with life experiences, and this will create some memorable, painful life experiences, but they tend to adapt with their adverse life and all of the different events that are happening in their life. And granted, any dasha of Shani or Ketu, or even Bhukti of any other dasha where these combinations are happening, are going to be painful. But you can also look at it this way. You're burning your karma. You are expediting and burning your karma during this time period.
That is
right?
so true.
So it is, and yes, it's a little daunting because Shani is a very long period, but both Shani and Ketu's main purpose is to put you on a path of spiritualism. Their ways of how to get you there are two complete opposite ways.
Yeah.
So that is the fight. That is the fight within you. Which path do you take? Right? And because at the end of the day, they both guarantee that you'll be much more spiritual than you first started. And your life will definitely look a lot different than when you started. And you will have a lot more gray hairs and a lot more maturity, but it definitely does put you on a path. And no doubt, this is a tough combination. Definitely is. But if you look at it in a way that it is an opportunity to burn a lot of karma, and it's an opportunity to possibly, look at life differently, I think surrendering and acceptance of what your karma is will go a long way in this situation, especially in Kali Yuga. Now, if you were born with no responsibilities and your goal is to become a sannyasi, this is the best combination you can possibly have. Right? Because if you don't have any responsibilities, Shani will say, okay, well, no problem. Go, Ketu wins. So you'll become a sannyasi. But we're in Kali Yuga and we're here. So we have some karma. So
fantastic.
It makes it tough.
You know what? I have an observation in my Jyotish journey, is a very small observation. Wherever your Saturn is sitting, wherever, and if you have a planet close to the Saturn in the same house, be it a conjunction or a virtual conjunction, Saturn will make you burn your karma or settle your karma quickly.
Yes.
Quickly. You have Saturn and Ketu. The conflict is Ketu doesn't have any karma left. So what do? You leave everything and go. That's where the problem is. If you've got Saturn and Jupiter, Saturn will make you give education every day. Saturn-Jupiter combination. Saturn with Mars, Wish Yoga, your mind is, you're just settling the karmas, and because of which you're uncomfortable. So whenever you have a planet with the Saturn, that will help you burn your karma quickly.
Yes.
Now, that's what happens. And Thank you, Nandita ji. Such a great research.
Thank you.
Right. So we are in a relay race, and I started this. We need some good sprinters in the beginning and in the end, right? And so we'll have these last three, sprinters who's gonna win. So I will call Raju ji now. Right. One thing I must tell you about Raju ji is that he's the most disciplined and organized, RVA member, right? He is the one, right, who gives strength, who organizes Rudra Vedic, and he has that ability, right? So, Raju ji, what I personally believe for you is that if I've seen a transformation in someone in my Rudra Vedic Academy, it is you. It is like, people say that, how do you see a transformation in a person? So I say that I see transformation in a person because of the dashas of that person, is because you behave in different dashas in different way. But, Jyotish is a dasha, or Jyotish is a padati, where I've seen people transforming. Some people transform over the period of time, and some people transform quickly. He's the one who transformed. And, from a very corporate or a business person, I think he's carrying an ocean of spirituality and calmness and contentness in him right now. Rajuji, it is all yours.
Thank you so much, Guruji. Much appreciated. So today I would like to shed some lights on the conjunction of Ketu and Venus in someone's chart.
Right.
So I'll make a quick recap, as you said, to sprint. So just as we all know by now, that as per the mythological story, that Saurabhanu, the smart and giant Asura, was decapitated by Lord Vishnu, where the head became known as Rahu and the body part became known as Ketu. Ketu is the south node of the moon. It is a shadow planet and usually considered to be malefic. And it signifies actually detachment from the material world, family ties, isolation, wandering, things that we have already experienced in the past, as we say in French, déjà vu, déjà vécu. It also signifies spirituality, and it is the cause of moksha, as you mentioned before, and liberation. Ketu helps us to overcome illusion and see the real meaning of every material and non-material attachments. So if someone adopts a lifestyle which is more spiritual and detached from material values, that is without lust and desires, Ketu would be a supporter. Ketu is a fire element, while on the other hand, Venus, which is also known as Shukra as per Vedic astrology, signifies pleasures, enjoyment of life, luxuries, which includes, like cars, houses,
all the luxuries.
All the luxuries and everything. It also signifies procreation, health, it's life giver. It is about art and creation, music. It signifies female in general in anyone's chart, and specifically for a man's chart, it signifies the wife. Now, when someone has this conjunction, it means that we are talking about two extremities. Because one, Ketu wants detachment from material life, while Venus wants the material and the pleasures of life itself. So this conjunction, what it means, if someone has it in the chart, it means that the person has already lived, experienced, and mastered the best signification of Venus in his previous life. So in this life, they would need less, but though Venus will always try to push them towards those desires. They don't understand that they have this skill already in them, so they will try to push inside. So when Ketu is placed in Kendra houses, and of course it's different, as I said before, that, depending on as you mentioned also, depending on the sign and house, the conjunction effects would be different. When placed in the Kendra houses 1, 4, 7, and 10, it is more significant because it affects the self, the living condition, the reputation, and the work of the native.
Right.
So these people, when they have this conjunction, they may know a lot of highs of Venus, but it will never be constant or permanent in their life. Because as you mentioned before, Ketu will destroy those things because they don't understand that they have this element already, they know it already. They themselves, they destroy these elements in themselves, okay? So when it is placed in the first house, for instance, we see that the person might be born with natural good health, beauty, comfort, but these will not be appreciated the way that he wants be or recognized the way he wants it to be. Because as I mentioned before, he himself doesn't recognize him to have those skills, these qualities in himself, okay? And this can give rise to separation and divorce if it's found in the first house. And at the same time, because Rahu would sit opposite in the seventh house, this can give rise to multiple relationships and even extraconjugal relationship at the same time. Now, if it is placed in the 10th house, someone might be doing his job very well, but still he might not get recognition. He might not be satisfied himself with his own job because he thinks always that he could have done better, okay? Because what he doesn't realize that he knows his job, but he thinks always that he could have done better, okay? Right. And this we are talking of when it's linked to Venus especially. Now, the way to go here actually is someone should work using his work skill that he's got since birth towards to helping the community in general. Then only he will find satisfaction in his life, okay? He cannot keep it for himself. Right. Now, we note also that Ketu is of fire element, and while Venus is of water element, it means that we are talking of two elements which are not compatible. And obviously, inevitably, this will create this conflict in the chart of anyone, wherever it is posited. Also, we know that Venus is a tamasic planet, while Venus is a rajasic planet. Sorry, I was saying Ketu is a tamasic planet. Venus is a rajasic one, as his friends Mercury. And Ketu doesn't like rajasic planets. This is because it prevents moksha, which is one of the main karakas of Ketu. Okay, so Ketu is our past life legacy, and in fact, Ketu is depicted, as you mentioned before, as a flag, which means that we already own this. It's like in a country, like you own a territory, you put your flag there, so you own this. When Venus is conjuncted, it means that you own the element of Venus already in you. Okay, so anyway, Venus would still keep continuing to pursue his lust for luxuries and comfort. This is why Ketu comes supreme all the time to teach the lesson, and Ketu will always keep all its attributes wherever it sits, because Ketu is supreme. And in fact, as per the Vimsotri Dasha, we see that Ketu comes first on the list before Venus and even the king planet Sun even, okay? So it doesn't mean with this conjunction that someone cannot be wealthy, but he will not have it continuously until he doesn't adopt a certain transformation in his life. Correct. I just want to quote an example quickly here of Mr. Mukesh Ambani, who's got this conjunction, and you know well his status. That's what I'm trying to say, that if you're disconnected by lust, someone can be wealthy. Okay, right. And it is shown also that someone can become wealthy because Ketu also signifies building and construction, but it should be like in condominiums and apartments. It cannot be like independent houses, or if it's in a company, you should like to split your company into small one. This is one of the solutions that someone can adopt to make the most benefit of this conjunction. Now, usually we have seen that with this conjunction, the native they have a natural skill of dressing up neatly and beautifully as per the situation and occasion. And they tend to be very magnetic people once you come close to them, because they have this skill naturally in them. Usually, to avoid the malefic effects, again, I would mention that one should work for money, wealth, without attachment and lust, and then only they will get the benefit of it. So this conjunction will give other type of pleasures in life, like study and practice of occult sciences, astrology, deep research, mysticism. As we know that Ketu is associated with Scorpio, which is a natural sign of the 8th house. However, a transformation would be required, which I have seen in myself beautifully, that someone would, to be able to benefit from this placement, he needs a transformation in his life. In relations, I have seen that though it doesn't work with the spouse, but these people come across very strong karmic relations during their lifetime, especially female would be coming in their life, where these can come through friends, work colleagues, it can be through relatives. And these people doesn't come always for good, it can come also for bad things, bad experiences with them. But they will feel that they can't live with them, but at the same time, they can't stay too much away from them, because they feel that they are very complementary to each other. Because the one has got one skill, the other one has got a different type of skill. Okay. Now, it is also believed that Ketu can also, it makes a Rakshata dosha.
Yes.
And also it makes a Dikshita yoga, which is both negative and positive.
Correct.
So negatively, it can cause diseases with regards to blood, while on the positive side, it can give purity of thought. So one must learn to give without expectation and stop lust and desires to have the support of Ketu. One remedy would be to pray to Lakshmi Ma, because just to help the Venus and not to destroy the Venus in one's life. Okay, so I mean, this is a summary quickly, as you mentioned.
Fantastic.
So,
Then this is lovely.
Thank you.
This is great in-depth research, and wonderful to hear some remedies from you, Rajuji. And we have the princess of Rudra Vedic Academy, got Dr. Pooja here, and then whenever we plan our relay race, so we keep person at the first and in the last as the best sprinter. So we'll have Yogi ji coming after Dr. Pooja, because we need the first and the last to be the quick and the strong one. So Yogi ji is one of our pillars of Sanskrit and Mantra Shastra. He's the one guy who keep nourishing Rudra Vedic Academy with his mythological and Sanskrit knowledge and divine blessing that he has. And he's the most, I think he's one person who's very hungry to attain knowledge, and that has come from his his punya karmas in the past life, right? So we have another beautiful divine soul, Yogi ji, but before Yogi ji, that light of our Rudra Vedic Academy that enlightens my room, my platform, of Rudra Vedic Academy is none other than Dr. Pooja ji. All yours.
Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Today I'll talk about Moon and Ketu conjunction. So as Rajuji has described Ketu, so I'll just describe Ketu according to medical astrology.
Right.
So Ketu is basically the transcription.
Yes.
Now, what is transcription? Transcription is a process of copying a segment of DNA into RNA. So when a segment of DNA is copied into RNA, then it becomes a messenger RNA and it forms a lineage, as told by Dr. Shruti. And the other segment becomes a non-coding RNA, which is your encrypted energy and which represents the Ketu. So basically, Ketu is the encrypted energy which can be related with the triplet codons present in our body, and basically we have to decipher that.
Fantastic.
So one is the lineage which you are carrying, and the another is which you have to encrypt, just like a key. हर एक ताले की एक चाबी होती है. So like a key, you have to do the encryption of Ketu, which tells us who exactly I am and from where I have come. Ketu is your pituitary gland or the pineal gland. So Ketu represents the memory and your talent. You must have seen in the talent shows, छोटे छोटे बच्चे बहुत अच्छा डांस करते हैं, बहुत अच्छा, without any prior training also. So basically, it is because of the Ketu, it is coming, the talent and the memory is coming through the glands like pituitary and pineal gland. As Guruji has said that Ketu is moksha. It's a moksha karak, and he told us the meaning of sha. So I can relate that sha with the medical, that is sha rog, that is tuberculosis. So I think if Ketu is misplaced, it can give you the disease like tuberculosis, maybe, sir?
100%.
Okay, and if Ketu is misplaced, it is not well placed, and with lots many other combinations, it can give you suicidal tendencies. It can give a disease in male, which is known as hydrocele. It can give you cataract. It can give you an epidemic, and it can give you a chronic disease. Why? Because Ketu basically does not allow the diagnosis at an early stage, though it tells in the very late stage.
Just like Rahu. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So this was a description of Ketu. Now I'll link moon with our body. So moon basically, like our body is made of 70% of water, and that 70% of water and the blood, that depicts your moon, the planet moon,
Yeah.
which depicts our menstrual cycle in females. So as the moon has the waxing and waning phases, the same we have. There are phases of menstrual cycle, and we have lots of mood swings during the menstrual cycle. The same type we have when moon is not well placed. We have certain disease like insomnia, maybe depression, and maybe certain activities like you don't feel like, sleeping very properly. So that is moon, which leads to insomnia, depression. And I have seen in small pubertal girls that they have menstrual cycle disorders also. So this was moon and Ketu. And now I'll talk about the conjunction of moon and Ketu. I have a moon and Ketu conjunction in my 10th house. And I want to suggest everyone that if you have a moon Ketu conjunction, you should always go for a astrological consultation, because I have changed my life after my consultation. Because moon Ketu conjunction, and I think if I'm not wrong, sir, it's Ketu and sun conjunction also. Like the consultation is must. Why? Because after that only you decipher lots of things. So this was why one thing, because moon Ketu conjunction forms a Grahan yoga, and my Guruji told us that you take it as a positive. Don't take the negative side of that. Why? Because Ketu gives you a strong foundation, and moon makes you a jolly natured person. So if the conjunction is this, then it forms a personality where you can talk long hours. I am not a boring person because I have this conjunction, and people find my talks very interesting. So it makes a person very interesting. You can talk long hours. It represents the extremes or intense nature. This moon and Ketu conjunction actually, and it makes your gut feeling very strong. Sometimes in classes also I tell that this is my sixth sense talking, then Guruji will just scold me. Don't just focus on your sixth sense, you focus on the concept which I have taught you. And if moon this thing Ketu conjunction, if suppose I have seen it is in house 1, 2 and 12, and though obviously you have to take the other combinations as well, it gives to a disease like bipolarism. It makes the person moody. There is a lack of confidence. There are lots of depression from unknown source. I have seen female, they'll just keep on crying without any reason. So the reason is also not ruled out, and they go into this kind of a phase. If there is a moon Ketu conjunction in houses 8 and 12, it leads to schizophrenia. Though there are other combinations, it gives you an imaginary skill. You just keep on thinking some paranormal activities maybe, or that comes into your dreams. And if there is a moon Ketu conjunction in 5, 8, 12 houses, then it makes the person a researcher. It can make a person scientist. And as Dr. Shruti has said, that those spiritual gurus, they can have this kind of a combination. And there are different types of phobias or different types of expressions like empathy or emotions are also linked because it's a Ketu and moon conjunction. And the last thing, because I have a Ketu moon conjunction, I have noticed in me, maybe I may be wrong, sir, but I have seen that if the parenting is done well, and if you get the support of Guru, this combination can blast. It can give you anything. Because my mother, she was in a teaching line, and from the childhood, she asked me to write and learn. And she asked me to write a diary every day, and she asked me to write some positive affirmations. I think that's why I have become a strong human being, though it was a Ketu moon conjunction. And I'm following the same routine with my student. I'm asking them to write, so that they become strong. So this is my analysis, sir.
This is beautiful.
Brief analysis.
Guys, if you think, what is medical astrology, you got to listen 10 minutes, of Dr. Pooja ji's research. This is what is called medical astrology. And I'm so proud that you're my student. And I'm so proud that you'll become a great guru one day, right? And you will enlighten many, many students, right? That is for sure, right? Thank you, Dr. Pooja. And ladies and gentlemen, now we have Yogi of our RVA, right? His name is Yogi, but he's Yogi himself, right? He is one guy whom I talk to, when I really want to discuss something at a higher level, right? At not Bhuloka, right? Sometimes you find someone in the team who doesn't belong to Bhuloka, someone who doesn't want to be a guru, someone doesn't want to be a teacher, someone who always want to be a student, someone who always want to give something. It takes a lot of courage to become a guru, but then it takes super courage to remain student whole life. That's what Yogendra Bundela ji is all about. Yogi, it's all about, it's all yours now.
Namaskar, sir. Thanks for kind words. And it means really a lot because it's coming from you. So yeah, thanks a lot. And yeah, to start with discussing about Ketu, I'll start with a mantra. Palash Pushpak Sankasham Taraka Grah Mastakam Rodram Rodratmak Kam Ghoram Tam Ketu Pranamyaham. So with this, simple Vedic mantra that we have for Ketu, you can easily get an understanding of what Ketu is all about, what Ketu Maharaj is all about.
Yeah.
It's like he's just like red like Palash flower, and he's like the head of the star, Taraka Grah Mastakam. Rodram Rodratmakam. He is just like Rudra, and has that terribleness of Rudra in himself. And he is Ghor. He's not a Ghor. He is Ghor. So he's terrible.
Yeah.
And that's why it's saying Tam Ketu Pranamyaham. So with this whole shlok itself, you can understand like what Ketu is all about. He is terrible in what he does. So he's like unstoppable.
Yes.
And the description that you guys have already given, sir has given, like how bravery stands for, Ketu, and how it's mainly because what Ketu is. And so I'll just go through and revise through for the audience who don't know about what Ketu is, something related to mythology. I think Rajuji already touched upon it. Like Swarbhanu used to be a demon, and at the time of Sagar Manthan, which happened in the Milk Ocean, which is at a different, level. It's a different plane altogether, right? And at that point, when Elixir came out of the Milk Ocean, Lord Vishnu took avatar of Mohini like a damsel, and he tried to like trick the demons because he didn't want the demons to become, immortal. And so he made devas and, asuras sit in separate rows, and he started distributing, elixir to the devas, and secretly with other, similar vessel, he was pouring down wine, or you can say asura, or the surapan, like you can say a wine or alcohol or anything, to the asuras, and they were busy taking and enjoying it, and they were happy like they'll become immortal. But in this story, it was the Swar Bhanu who realized that there is something wrong with this lady, and why is she, uh, giving separate, treatment to the devas, and she's kind to them. And so he just thought there's something wrong. So he went and sat between the sun and the moon, and he got the elixir. And the moment he was drinking the elixir, sun and moon, they,
Realized.
you can, esoterically level, you can say they are the eyes of Vishnu, but at the story level, you can say they were the devatas sitting there, and they gave a hint that, oh, this is not one of us, Mohini. And the moment Mohini, read that, Vishnu ji just put out the chakra and cut the head off of, Swarbhanu. And that's the story where you find like this Rahu and Ketu became, two, body parts. Head is separate, torso is separate, and and they are like 180-degree each other. So this story is to, just signify how this whole thing happened and how Rahu and Ketu came into existence. And they behave similarly as well, because if you look at the astronomical level also of how they are present, they are much closer to us than sun and the moon, because that's how they can eclipse them. It's very simple. If they were far away, then they could not eclipse sun and moon. So they are closer to our plane, and that's the reason why they afflict or affect our life more than anyone else. So if you look at any other planet and compare them with any other planet, I think Ketu and Rahu are the ones which are affecting us too much. And since we call it Mrityu Lok, it is the only plane where people, are sent here to, take the punishment that they have, to bear. And Rahu and Ketu are the two nodes guarding this whole Mrityu Lok. Unless and until, you free yourself from all the burden of karmas, in this loka, you cannot, escape out of it. So these two nodal points are the only source through which you can get out of this matrix. You cannot get out of this matrix without, fulfilling the needs of these two. So going through the appearance of how Ketu Maharaj looks about, like, is he has got he doesn't have a human head, he's headless, but it is said that he has a head of a snake, which is smoky with shiny eyes like gemstone. And he, in the Vedic tradition, they tell that he is holding a mace, which is a gada, arrows, and a flag in one hand, and with the other hand, he is granting, boon, Abhay Mudra. He rides a vulture and a snake, and also wearing a jewel, which is decorated with cat-sized kind of jewel, which is like shining in the darkness. So you can imagine, even in the darkness, he has that, enlightenment in him. So that potential of enlightenment is inherent in Ketu. In Vedic traditions, we also associate Ketu with Vedamurti Ganesh. So we say Vedamurti because all the Vedamurtis you will find have half human body and half animal body. So all the Vedamurtis like Hanumanji, Garuda, Ganeshji, they're all called Vedamurtis. So here Ketu is closely associated with Ganeshji because there's too much similarity between the two, because both were headless at some point of time. Ganeshji got head of elephant, and Ketu still doesn't have a head. He's just has a head of a snake. And one thing to be noticed here is like Ganeshji, in every temple, if you visit, in a Navagraha temple, you'll see Ganeshji is leading all the Navagrahas. So Ketu is also being associated closely with Ganeshji. You'll see Ketu has become like a supreme, you can say a leader of the Devas in many sense. You'll see that whenever we do any Vedic, prayers or any anushtanas, we tie a knot of a grass in our hand, in our, ring finger, which is made out of kusha grass,
Yeah.
which is the most holiest grass. And in it resides the Ketu's power, which can, withstand any kind of malefic, or evil, kind of, attack or evil negativity. Ketu, as others also said, it also stands for dhwaj or a flag, which we all know. It also, you can say, there's a close relationship like between Ketu and other, astronomical objects like asteroids, comets. They are therefore called as Dhum Ketu. So Ketu is star-like, a falling star-like formation, and Dhum Ketu is a star with dhumr, a dhua with it. So that's why it's called Dhuma Ketu. Other names of Ketu with ancients, seers gave was Shikhi, one with a
Yeah.
tail. So Dhum Ketu is also with a tail. And I think in Vastu also, Saras
Yeah.
taught us, it's called Shikhi.
Yeah.
It's also called Tamas because it's symbolic of darkness. So it is darkness, but it has light within. Then we move on to the nature of this planet is fiery in nature. And if you look at the fire, I've read this and heard it from Sanjay ji once say in one of the videos. Fire, if you look at fire and study fire, the dark portions of the fire is Mangala.
Yeah.
The lighter portion, which gives light, is the Surya. And the invisible portion or the smoky portion up
Ketu.
above the fire is the Ketu. So, and also like we can reflect it in the light spectrum also. If you look at look at the light spectrum, we see Ketu is the infrared. So it's like the higher, octave of, Mars. Mars is red. So higher octave is infrared. Like Rahu, which is like an octave version of Saturn, which is ultraviolet, violet and ultraviolet. So that makes it more, clearer. Sir already talked about Ketu being headless. So Ketu is headless, and therefore, spirituality wise, it is the number one benefit. It is, and also there's one more thing we can add to it. It's like all the planets, they are like pointing to some direction. They'll like, for example, if you look at Jupiter, Mercury, Moon, they'll be having one of the directions, but Ketu's direction is upwards.
Yeah.
It's the only planet whose direction is upwards, and that is the direction for moksha. You have to move high. You have to leave away all the material things behind and rise up. That's what Ketu signifies. So that's why it's called moksha karaka, and that's why you'll see Ketu being closely related with people who are striving for freedom, who are striving for sannyas, who are striving for freedom fighters, who are like selflessly, working for some cause. And but there is also a negative trait to it. Like Ketu is only one planet. If there are like negative afflictions in someone's chart, then Ketu can, also demonstrate like negative traits of, a person like as Shruti ji pointed out, like Hitler is one of the examples. And so so Ketu is like in a way showing like two extremes of very good and very bad, depending on how it's been placed in the Kundali. So and the positive side, like one where you on one side you have like Hitler, who is like extreme negativity and evil, and on the positive side you can see Mother Teresa, who's like on the positive side. She's also striving and selflessly working for the poor. So both natures are like shown through Ketu. There's one more observation I read is Ketu, when it is with the ascendant, it reduces the height of the Jatakas. And if you see Mother Teresa, she was also short. And if you look at Hitler, he was also short. He didn't have too much of height. So a lot of people who have Ketu in ascendant, they could be lesser in height, and also they could be having a fat tummy because Ketu is all about the torso portion. So you keep on consuming, but you are not doing anything. So Ketu may cause that effect. it strongly represents the inertia of the past life karma. So wherever the Ketu is, positioned in the chart, it is, or it represents like what your past life karmas have been. And that's where, Ketu is positioned. So it's where it's showing that it has a strong inertia of past life karmas. That means it is storing some information. It is not forgetting anything. Like Rahu wants, I want to know, I want to know, I want this, I want that. Ketu is, I will not forget.
Yeah.
So the thing of like, I will not forget makes you think about like a person which is highly, Ketu, the sense in him, he might be like very revengeful. He will not forget what happens to him. So people who have been like all these fighters and all, they don't easily forget. That's why they don't move on in their life. They have a battle to, fight and win. And that's why you'll find all the fighters, closely associated with Ketu. Similarly for sadhakas, spiritual, aspirants, like I want to achieve sadhana, I want to achieve siddhi, I want to achieve, I have a earning to see darshan of God himself. Like just as sir said, I want to go to Vrindavan. That earning, of like going to Vrindavan, that, aspiration is there in Ketu, because he's like, until and unless I get that, I will keep on going on this path. So that is also closely shown by Ketu. And so to sum it up, Rahu is like forget and move on. It's like newer day, newer attraction. I'm just going about in my life. Ketu is like, no, I will retain. I'll learn from the history. And that's why Rahu is everything foreign to us. Ketu is whatever your tradition is, what your culture is, because it's like assimilated in your, even in your, past life karmas. Through Ketu, it is coming down to you. So the whole traditional value and system is with you because of Ketu. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Wow. This is so beautifully explained. And I must tell you, one thing here is that, when Yogi ji was saying that the Swarbhanu lost its head, that, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, remember one thing. Ketu can make you so super brave, is that out of all the Asuras and all the Devatas, Swarbhanu had the courage to give his head to Vishnu. Do you have that courage to give your head to Vishnu and leave everything right away? Apna sir dena hai Vishnu ji ko. This is the message that Ketu is giving. Just give your head to Vishnu. Just give your head and put it in the lotus feet of Vishnu and become immortal. This is what I believe Ketu is all about. Just giving your head away, giving your brain, eyes and indriyas away. And then Vishnu ji come and hugs you, and he gives you that you're immortal from here. You will always be there in the kundlis of everyone, and always, always capturing the past and the future. Right? It is not the head that gives away the head. It is the heart that gives away the head. It is the heart that gives away head. So heart belongs to Ketu, not the brain. Brain will tell you, do not give your head. That's Rahu. Find a way to get aside. But Ketu says, no, it's surrender. Here's my head, right? Just cut it off right away and make me immortal. That's what Ketu is all about. That's what bravery is all about.
And sir, as you said, that it's the heart that, makes you do that. And heart is more closer to Vishnu ji.
Yes.
Who is sitting here.
Yes.
So things that come from our heart. And as you told the story of like how Swarvanu gave his head, there's one more instance of like how Dhyanuji gave his head for Mata.
Yeah.
And he became immortal. So whoever will give his head. So if you want to achieve moksha and immortality, you have to give your head.
Yes, absolutely. And doesn't mean you get it cut. It means that you give your mentality away, that intelligence away. and just surrender. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so proud of each one of you here, and people who are watching this video, they will learn, their perspective about Ketu will change from today, and we will keep on making such efforts. I plan a series on a detailed discussion on Surya, Mangala, Chandra, Brahaspati, Shukra, so that you people can go dive, just dive deep into your chart and try to analyze. And if you have some bad conjunctions, we always have consultations open. We have our academy. We run different courses with detailed research and development, and we learn from each other. That's the beauty, that makes me approachable all the time, right? That makes my team members approachable all the time. This is the key. When you learn, at times you don't find your gurus approachable. That's the pain. It's not here, right? It's not here. My students, they call me 2 in the night and I am approachable. So is my team. So with that note, right, just do subscribe to our channel and press the like button. It gives us motivation. Do write your comments, because we read them, although at times, we may not get the time, but then we'll read. And I promise that my team members will reply to your messages as well. So till then, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.